After Christmas night, I woke up in a house that felt too quiet because it was empty. My entire family had vanished off on a luxury vacation paid with my money. On the table, a note waited like a slap. "Keep an eye on the house, finish the leftovers." The words burned into me colder than the winter outside. They thought I'd just sit, eat scraps, and play watchdog. But they forgot something. When they came back, when that front door creaked open again, they weren't returning to the home they'd left. They were stepping into my trap. My name is Avery Collins in this story. When I look back now, I realize how easily I walked into the role they had scripted for me. At 25, with a degree in computer science and a decent job downtown Columbus, I thought I was clever for saving money by living at home. But the truth is, I wasn't saving anything. I was bleeding into their mortgage and their bills, and I mistook it for love. The memory is sharp, our cramped Westerville kitchen, the one with yellowing linoleum that curled at the edges. It was late spring thunder rolling somewhere distant, and my mom Linda leaned against the counter with her worried face, the one I had known since childhood, the face she wore before asking for anything. My dad. Rick sat at the table, his mechanic's hands folded, eyes hollow from long shifts. "Avery, honey," Mom said, twisting a dish towel. "We really need your help. The mortgage is killing us. Your father's paycheck just isn't enough anymore." Dad nodded along. "If you could stay here and chip in just for a while, it'd make such a difference." The pitch was rehearsed, I see that now. The timing, the tone, the pauses, they had practiced this together like it was a sales presentation. At the time, though, I saw only need, and I've always been weak against need, so I agreed $1,000 a month straight into their account. Mom promised I'd never have to think about groceries or utilities. "Come home to hot meals every night," she cooed, "and help your little sisters too. Chloe and Maya still need so much." The twins were 14 then, messy and loud, leaving lip gloss rings on glasses and sneakers in the hall. They weren't cruel, not yet, just kids. And I loved them, so I told myself it was worth it. At first, it even felt good. Dinner smells greeted me after long days downtown, Mom's beef stew spaghetti bubbling in her dented pot, the clink of forks already set on the table. My friends in the city ate ramen in apartments with peeling paint. I had roast chicken waiting for me. I thought I'd hacked adulthood. But slowly, almost invisibly, the balance shifted. 6 months in, I bought a new washing machine when ours started shrieking like a dying animal. $800. It felt like an investment for everyone's comfort. A month later, I replaced the microwave. Then, the coffee maker. By winter, I was upgrading furniture too. Sofa dining chairs, even Chloe and Maya's matching bedroom sets. Each time, the gratitude grew fainter. At first, it was, "Oh, Avery, you're so generous." Then it was just nice before they scrolled back to their phones. I told myself families get comfortable, that love doesn't always need applause. But there was a splinter under the skin of that thought. One night when I brought home a $300 necklace for Mom's birthday, she opened it, smiled, and said, "It's lovely, though you could have picked a stronger chain, these break so easily." The words lodged in me like glass. Dad's tools, expensive ones I ordered online, ended up scattered across the garage floor, never thanked. Chloe and Maya tore open gift cards with squeals, then turned around and demanded more cash for weekends at the mall. When I hesitated, they ran to Mom. "She's being stingy again," Chloe would whine. "You always said she's supposed to help." And Mom, voice soft but firm, would say, "Avery, you shouldn't make them feel guilty for needing things. They're just kids, just kids." 17-year-olds with better sneakers than mine, brand new desks I'd ordered, and phones upgraded before I upgraded my own. Still, I kept paying. Because if I didn't, I wasn't just withholding money. I was withholding love. That's what they made me believe. Flashback. I was 15 bussing tables at a diner after school. I remember giving Mom half my paycheck every Friday because she told me the electric bill was late. Back then, I thought I was proud to help. Now, I wonder if the pattern started there, the quiet training to hand over everything because family asked. In those early years after college, I thought I was building stability. In truth, I was building their dependency. And every time I tucked another receipt into the blue binder I kept under my bed, carefully labeled living expenses, I felt a flicker of unease. Why was I saving proof unless some part of me knew this house wasn't really my home? The first fracture came sharper, though. One October night, I dragged myself home from a brutal day at work. A system upgrade had melted down, and I'd spent 10 hours in a fluorescent cube farm untangling code that refused to run. I just wanted quiet. Instead, I walked into Chloe and Maya mid-performance at the dinner table. She said no when we asked for shopping money. Maya announced, dripping with drama. We just wanted $400. Winter clothes. I tried calm. I said I wanted to see what you planned to buy. 400 disappears fast. See, Chloe threw her hands up. She doesn't trust us. She thinks we'll waste her precious money. The word precious stung. Like my work, my sweat, my long commutes were just coins clinking in their piggy bank. Something in me snapped. You want money? Get jobs. That's what I did when I was your age. The silence was heavy. Mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Dad set his glass down slow. Excuse me. Mom's voice had gone ice cold. I worked at 15, I said, pulse in my throat. Paid you half and still bought my own clothes. That was your choice, she said. We're not forcing them into adult responsibilities. They should focus on school. They're 17, I shot back. Old enough to enough, Dad said flatly. We finished dinner without another word, but that silence wasn't neutral. It was punishment. From that night forward, I was invisible in my own house. And that was before the Aspen plan, before the note, before the $13,000 theft. The silence after that dinner wasn't the kind that cools down arguments. It was the kind that calcifies. Overnight, I became a ghost in my own house. Mornings at the breakfast table, Chloe and Maya would chatter about school, their voices pitched a little higher, a little brighter, as if performing for an audience of two. Mom would laugh at something, Dad would grunt in approval, and my chair might as well have been empty. When I spoke, no one looked up. The worst was the family group chat. Colin's crew had been pinging my phone nonstop for years, memes from the twins, Dad's blurry garage selfies, Mom's chain letter prayers. One morning, the notifications stopped. When I opened the app, I saw the quiet little line, "You are no longer a member of this group." It was Chloe. I'd bet my savings on it. She always had a talent for pressing delete without remorse. But Mom had to approve it, and Dad didn't stop it. That was the point. They wanted me to feel the exile. At first, I tried not to care. I told myself I had better things to focus on. My job was picking up speed. I'd been given more responsibility, a chance to design an entire data architecture for a new insurance product. Downtown Columbus in the fall has a buzz to it, coffee shops steaming scarlet leaves scattering across High Street, the hum of construction cranes building higher. I'd walk to my car at dusk, briefcase in hand, and tell myself I was moving forward. But the moment I pulled into the Westerville driveway, the frost set in. The house had grown hostile in its own quiet way. Mom stopped calling me for dinner. She'd set 4 plates instead of 5. If I asked about leftovers, she'd shrug. There wasn't much. Dad barely spoke at all. Just the squeak of his recliner, the mutter of football games on low volume. Chloe and Maya swept past me in the hall, perfume clouds trailing, whispering to each other, but never to me. At night, alone in my room, I'd flip through my binder of receipts. Washing machine, $820. Sofa sectional, $1, $200. King-size bed, $1, $499. Each one a reminder that this house wasn't theirs alone. A part of me clung to that binder like armor. Proof. If things went bad, I told myself I had the evidence. Still, I wanted the frost to thaw. I kept buying small gifts, pastries from the bakery near my office, a box of chocolates left on the counter. They went untouched. 3 weeks of this and the weight of it pressed like stone. Then, one night in late November, I came home to a sight that should have been ordinary. The family huddled around the dining room table, papers spread across the wood. Their voices buzzed with excitement. When I stepped closer, Mom looked up with a smile that felt too sudden, too rehearsed. "Perfect timing, Avery," she said, sliding a glossy booklet into my hands. Palm trees, snow-capped mountains, ski lifts, Aspen. I blinked. "What's this?" "Our Christmas trip," she said, eyes glittering. "We've been planning for weeks. You just need to handle the tickets before prices climb." Dad's voice cut in steady and matter-of-fact. $13,000. Flights, resort, a week in the mountains, plus spending cash? The twins beamed like they'd already felt the snow under their boots. I stared at them, at the brochures, at the penciled numbers on Dad's notepad. "You're serious." "Of course," Mom said. And we know you have it. That emergency account you opened last year, 20 grand in it, isn't there. This way we can all enjoy ourselves without stress. The air in my lungs turned sharp. That's for emergencies. For burst pipes, hospital bills, not ski trips. Dad's hand came down hard on the table, rattling the salt shaker. We've been working hard. The girls have been studying hard. We deserve this break. You'll save it back in no time. Their faces were expectant, as if my only line was, "Yes, Mom." "Yes, Dad." Instead, I heard myself say slowly, clearly, "I'm not paying for this." The smile drained from Mom's face. Chloe's mouth twisted. Maya rolled her eyes. "Don't be ridiculous," Mom snapped. "We're family. That's what the money is for." I left the table without another word. My heart thudded all the way upstairs, but under the fear there was something else. Anger. For once, I hadn't folded. The house iced over harder after that. Weeks passed in silence, broken only by slammed doors and muffled laughter that ended the second I walked into a room. Then came Christmas Eve. When I stepped through the door that night, arms full of presents and a $60 cake from the downtown bakery, the atmosphere had shifted. Warm. Too warm. Perfect timing, Mom said, all smiles. The roast beef was already on the table, green bean casserole steaming, candles flickering like a postcard. Chloe and Maya chirped greetings. Dad asked about my day at work. It felt staged, but I wanted to believe it. I set my gifts under the tree, breathed in the smell of cinnamon and gravy, and tried to thaw. For the first time in weeks, we had dinner like a family again. We talked about finals, about the choir concert, about football. I laughed. For one evening, I let myself believe maybe the Aspen nonsense was behind us. That night, I went to bed lighter. Maybe we'd found our way back, but in the back of my mind, one thought gnawed: why the sudden warmth? Why now? When I woke Christmas morning to an empty house and that note on the table, I had my answer. And it wasn't just betrayal, it was a declaration. They didn't just want my money. They wanted me erased. Christmas morning sunlight cut pale across the living room floor, bleaching the carpet in stripes. The tree still blinked faintly, its cheap lights clinging to life. But the house was silent, eerily, defiantly silent. I patted down the stairs in my socks, half expecting to hear the coffee maker gurgling or Chloe's laughter leaking from her room. Instead, I found the note. Dear Avery. Surprise. We decided to go to Aspen for Christmas after all. We used your emergency account to cover the balance. Keep an eye on the house, finish the leftovers, love your family. I read it 3 times, then let it crumple in my fist. The brass compass pendant thudded against my collarbone, cold as ice. I tapped it once, a nervous habit, as if it might tell me which direction to run. They had rehearsed Christmas Eve, the laughter, the warm dinner, the sudden friendliness. All of it a curtain call before the theft. I thought about calling them screaming into the phone until my voice broke. But the thought shriveled as quickly as it rose. Yelling would cost me energy, and they had already taken too much. Instead, I dialed a different number. Tasha, sorry to bother you on Christmas. Remember that rental your aunt has? The little house in German Village. Her voice cracked with sleep. Yeah, I think it's still open. Why? Because I need it. Today. She hesitated. Avery, are you okay? You sound, I just need out. I cut her off more sharply than I meant to. My hands shook, but my voice steadied. Please. Give me her number. Within an hour, I was in my car tires, hissing over half-frozen slush on High Street. German Village looked like a snow-globe brick homes tucked behind wrought-iron fences, smoke curling from chimneys. When Mrs. Alvarez opened the door to the rental, she blinked at me, startled to see anyone house hunting on Christmas. It's small but cozy, she said, ushering me through. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, wood floors that creaked with age. The living room had a patch of sun falling across the bare floorboards, the kind of light that felt like a promise. I'll take it, I said. Don't you want to sleep on it? No. I pulled out my checkbook. I'll take it now. She stared, then smiled. Well, Merry Christmas to both of us. She handed me the keys. That brass compass pendant swung heavy as I left. For the first time in years, I felt the tug of a true north. The next day, December 26th, I didn't waste time. I called a moving company, paid extra for the rush. By mid-morning, Deshawn, the crew leader, was walking the halls of my parents' house with me, clipboard in hand. "Just point, we'll pack it," he said. I pointed to everything with a strip of blue tape underneath. The washing machine, the microwave, the sectional sofa, Chloe and Maya's twin beds, the king-sized set in my parents' room, all marked AC, my initials. "You sure about all this?" Deshawn asked once, lowering his voice. "Feels like a lot." "I've got receipts for every item," I said, holding up the blue binder. "It's mine. I'm taking it back." He studied me a moment, then gave a short nod. "Say less. Let's move." The house slowly emptied, like blood draining from a body. By noon, the living room was barren except for the old recliner Dad had bought before I was born. The kitchen counters gaped without appliances. Upstairs, Chloe and Maya's rooms looked skeletal bare mattresses and scattered posters. I saved the TV for last. The 65-inch flat screen they'd spent entire weekends in front of, cheering through football games, binging sitcoms while I cooked downstairs. It took 2 men to ease it into the truck. When they were done, I set the binder on the stripped kitchen counter, one receipt sticking out, and taped my compass sticker to the folder. A symbol. A declaration. By dusk, my new house was filling with the life I had paid for. The sofa fit perfectly against the brick wall. The big TV cast a warm glow across the living room. My bed, my desk, my books, they belonged here now. And so did I. I ate Chinese takeout on the sofa, steam curling into the quiet. For the first time in months, no one asked me for money. No one dismissed my effort. No one ignored my words. The silence was mine. Days passed. I worked unpacked, let myself breathe. I checked Facebook once out of morbid curiosity. There they were, Mom, Dad, Chloe, and Maya wrapped in fur-trimmed coats at the base of Aspen's ski lifts. Captions oozed with self-congratulation. "Only the people who matter most," Mom wrote under a photo of them clinking hot cocoa mugs. I screenshotted it. Some part of me knew those words would matter later. January 1st, their flight landed. By noon, my phone lit up with calls. Mom, Dad, Chloe. Then, Mom again. I let them all slide into voicemail. By 3, the texts came. "Mom, Avery, where are you? The house is empty. Dad, call us immediately. Where is the furniture, Chloe? Where's my bed? Maya, Mom is freaking out. Call us now." I laughed at the sound, bitter in my throat. By evening, Mom sent the long one. Threats about the police, accusations of theft. I snapped a photo of the binder's receipts and kept it in my pocket just in case. Finally, when the tone shifted from rage to desperation, I answered. "Avery." Mom gasped. "Thank God. Where are you? What happened to the house?" "We came home to nothing. We're sitting on air mattresses." "I moved," I said calmly, "and I took everything I paid for." "That's family furniture," she argued, voice trembling. "Actually, it's mine. And I can prove it." Silence. Then the soft, dangerous sound of her breaking. "Please come home. We'll work this out. We're sorry about Aspen. We'll pay you back." "You stole $13,000, I said, "and left me alone on Christmas to eat scraps while you skied in Colorado. I'm not coming back. I'm not your ATM anymore." Her breath hitched. I imagined her sitting in that hollowed-out living room, compassless, staring at the wreckage of her plan. "You can't mean that," she whispered. "I do." I ended the call. For the first time, I felt not guilt, not fear, but relief. The counterstrike was complete. But the war wasn't over. For the first time in years, the Collins household had to live without me as its silent engine. I almost pitied them almost. Within a week, relatives started calling. My Aunt Carol, who never bothered to remember my birthday, rang me up with a sugar-sweet voice. "Avery, honey, I heard you moved out. Your mother says there's been a misunderstanding." "Is that what she called it?" I asked. A pause. Then a sigh. "You know how your mom can be. Stubborn. But maybe you could smooth things over. The girls are graduating soon. They'll need help with college." I almost laughed. They'll need what every other teenager in Ohio needs: student loans, part-time jobs, maybe some humility. None of that requires me. When I hung up, my heart raced, but it wasn't fear. It was something new, the high of finally drawing a line and refusing to let anyone erase it. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with desperate messages from home. Dad admitted he was working overtime at the shop just to keep the mortgage afloat. Mom hinted about selling jewelry to cover Chloe and Maya's senior expenses. Chloe herself texted, "You don't get it, college apps are stressful enough." "Why are you making this harder?" I didn't reply. The compass pendant tapped against my collarbone as I walked through my new neighborhood German village brick streets, slick with melted snow. That little brass circle had once felt like an empty trinket, a keepsake from a grandfather I barely remembered. Now, every time it pressed against my skin, it reminded me, find your north. The fallout at the old house only grew. Word trickled through the family grapevine the girls were sulking, sleeping on blow-up mattresses, complaining to anyone who would listen. Dad tried patching together old appliances from the garage. Mom, who had once bragged at church about her responsible eldest daughter, now avoided Sunday altogether. Still, they circled back like moths to a flame they'd already scorched. One night in late January, Mom called again. This time, her voice had softened into pleading. "Avery, we know we handled things badly. We're ready to pay you back. Slowly, but we will. Just come home. We can't do this without you." I closed my eyes, listening to the creak of my own wooden floorboards, the hum of my own fridge, the soft glow of the TV I'd reclaimed. My life felt full in its simplicity. "I don't want your money anymore," I said. "I want distance, that's all." "You don't mean that," she whispered. "We're family. Family doesn't steal $13,000 and call it love." Click. Each call after that grew shorter until they stopped altogether. Silence again, but this time it was mine. At work, I flourished. Without the constant drain of bills that weren't mine, I saved nearly $2,500 every month. I started sketching plans for my own condo, maybe in the short North District. For once, the future felt like mine to design, but the past still tried to tug me back. In March, an envelope appeared in my mailbox, addressed in Chloe's neat handwriting. Inside was a graduation invitation. The card glittered with their school colors, gold and green. A sticky note was attached. "Please come. Even if you're mad at Mom and Dad, we want you there." I set it on the shelf and left it unopened. A part of me ached to show up, to cheer for them, to pretend the fracture could be mended. Another part, the part that still remembered that Christmas morning note, kept me rooted. My neighbor, Mr. Donnelly, found me staring at the envelope one afternoon while I hammered a loose gate hinge. He leaned on his cane, watching me work. "You look like you're deciding whether to cross a fence or raise it higher," he said. "Something like that," I admitted. He nodded toward the compass hanging at my chest. "Sometimes a fence is just a fence, but sometimes it's the only thing keeping you pointed the right way. Don't tear it down until you're sure." I ran my thumb over the brass engraving, "Find your north," and the truth settled heavy but sure. The fallout from my absence had forced them into reality. And maybe that was the only gift I could give them now, the chance to grow up without me funding their every whim. The aftermath wasn't glamorous. It was grocery lists written for one, rent checks dropped off each month, quiet evenings with takeout cartons stacked by the sink. But it was mine. And in that ordinariness, I found something my family had never given me: peace. 6 months after I carried my life out of that house, I still catch myself listening for echoes that aren't there. No clatter of Chloe's shoes tossed by the door. No low rumble of Dad's TV bleeding through the floorboards. Just the steady hum of my own space, the rhythm of a life no one else is siphoning from me. The savings account grows fatter each month, and every time I log in, I remember that morning the bank texted me $13,000 gone. Now, instead of dread the numbers rising, give me a strange kind of revenge. Quiet, patient, undeniable. Sometimes I wonder if they expect me to show up at the graduation this spring. The invitation still sits on my shelf unopened, gathering a thin coat of dust. Maybe one day I'll decide. Maybe not. I don't owe them that answer yet. On my wall above the desk where I map out data systems for clients who respect me more than my own family ever did hangs the compass. The brass has tarnished a little edges dulled by time, but the engraving is still clear. Find your north. It isn't dramatic. It isn't fireworks. It's locking my own front door at night, feeling the latch click under my hand. It's sitting on the sofa I paid for in a room no one can take from me. It's walking past my neighbor's fence and knowing I have one too, not to keep the world out, but to keep myself whole. Family doesn't mean unlimited withdrawals. Love isn't proven by writing checks until you bleed. And peace doesn't come from being needed, it comes from choosing yourself when no one else will. That Christmas, they thought they stole my money. What they really did was hand me back my freedom, and I'll never give it up again. If this story struck a nerve, don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next twist. Drop a comment. Have you ever been treated like an ATM by your own family? I want to hear your voice. And if you felt Avery's fight for freedom, share this video with someone who needs the reminder you're allowed to set boundaries. Your support keeps these stories alive, and trust me, the next one is even darker. Stay tuned.